It's a vibes. Where's it, family? Your host Selah Shalom back in the building. Had to make a quick run to the store, but I'm back. Live at it. Live and direct. It's your host Selah Shalom in the building. It's a vibes. You know how we do. Where's it, family? Apollo, I see you. Kendo, I see you. Black power. Fist into the air. It's a vibes. Selah Shalom TV. According to the text, as it is written. It's a vibes. Large up yourself, big up yourself. Yes, family. Yes, it's your boy Selah Shalom in the building. Oh, let me get my grip out the picture. I should put that over the chair, but yeah. What's good, fam? It's your host Selah Shalom. That's right. We gonna get it poppin'. It's a vibes. Yo. You know how I do. No particular topic in mind tonight. Just wanted to get online feeling good. You know what I mean? Wanted to holler at the family. You know why? Cause it's a vibes. You know how we do. Yeah. Bring it on in. My ass was trying to hurry up back to the store to get to the live. It's a vibes. But yeah, people, what's going on? How y'all doing today? It's your boy Selah Shalom chiming in. Cosmon teachings in the words of Jehovah and his angel ambassadors. Jehovah is the name of the creator according to the Oahspe. In the Bible, people will tell you that Jehovah is a tribal god and the angry and jealous god. But that's only due to the fact of the false gods assuming to be the creator. And assuming to be the creator, they carry those characteristics of an angry and jealous God. That's why most people who have common sense who read the Bible will be like, why would God be angry and jealous if he could create sun, moon, and stars? Why would he be angry and jealous? See, those are thinking people. And not just the believing people. You see what I'm saying? You don't worship no angry and jealous gods over here, yo. You don't worship an angry and jealous God. That's for the false gods, them. You dig? Angels assuming to be who they not supposed to be. So what's going on with the family? Put the music on a low vibration while we vibe, you know what I mean? Yeah, that music do something. Yeah, that music do something, yo. Yeah, right there. Y'all can hear that? What's going on with the family? See what y'all got going on. Blicky Beats, I see you. What's going on, King? It's a vibe, Joe. Yo, if you do beats, yo, submit it to the show. Black Royal Family at gmail.com. Submit your music for Atlanta's Ugly Season 8. We going strong. Let me put my phone on vibrate. I had a female ask me a question. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I grabbed my phone. I was asked a question. When babies are aborted, are their souls angry and waiting for their mothers in the afterlife? Well, that's a good question. Now, being that the baby was aborted in what? When babies are aborted, you said, are their souls angry? Well, not necessarily. Because they haven't even developed to learn what anger is. So babies that are aborted children that are aborted, infants that are aborted, they enter the spiritual world destitute of knowledge. And I'll read a quick verse from the Oahspe in the Book of Judgment, where it talks on children who die in infancy due to abortions and the nature of their spirit and condition in the spiritual world as aborted children. That's the beauty about the Oahspe, because it covers all these things. You have plenty of sisters who have aborted children, who are in the Hebrew Israelite faith, in the Christian faith, in the Muslim faith. But if they was to raise that question, what happens to aborted babies, and look for an answer based off their religious doctrines, they will not have it. In Christianity, you will not get an answer for the nature and conditions of the spirits of aborted babies. Likewise with Christianity, and likewise with the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. But it comes a time when the Creator reveals all things so mortals could be conscious and aware of the nature of the proceedings of the life after death. Whether if you believe it or not is not the issue. The message is here. So if you didn't believe it, and you cross over in spirit and bear the truth and bear witness, you couldn't say you wasn't informed. You couldn't say that niggas on the earth wasn't trying to tell you about the spiritual shit. And now that you crossed over and experienced it and bear witness, now you want to believe. It's too late now. We've been told you that. And for those who do believe, it's just a matter of experience and a matter of time before you bear witness to the inevitable truth of life after death. A topic many are scared to touch on. You got Christians who don't even like to read the book of Revelations, let alone touch on the life after death or the spiritual world. So let me answer that question for the sister who asked me about the aborted babies. Now let's go to the Book of Judgment. Book of Judgment, that should be chapter 32, because I done read that so many times. I'm starting to get familiar with the Oahspe quoting out chapters and verses like they do the Bible. You dig? So that's in the Book of Judgment, chapter 32. Let me get that. Where it talks about the nature of the aborted children that died in infancy, children that died in abortions, children that died in miscarriage. The question was, are those souls angry in the afterlife? And what was the second part? The question was, when babies are aborted, are their souls angry and waiting for their mother in the afterlife? So that's a two-part story. I'll answer the first one. Are they angry? Are these babies angry when they enter the spirit life? Let's start with that question first. I'm gonna answer that before me even light the rise cloud spliff, yeah? So now, in the Book of Judgment, chapter 32, in the Book of Judgment, chapter 32, verse 3, this is the nature and conditions of children that has died in infancy, abortion, or miscarriage. Verse 3, now I declare unto thee, there are angels lower than the first resurrection, being incapacitated from various causes, from knowing who they are, whence they came, or whither they are going. Yea, many of them know not words of speech, nor signs, nor token, but are as destitute of knowledge as young babies. Verse 4, many of them died in infancy. Some of them were killed by abortion. And there go your answer. So the nature and conditions of the children that die in infancy or abortion, their spirits are destitute of knowledge, meaning they don't know nothing. And it states that being incapacitated of various causes, from knowing who they are. They don't know who they are because when a child is young, it hasn't learned to develop individuality yet. It don't know who he is yet or who she is yet. So they lose that ability of self-identity. So like the scriptures say, being incapacitated of various causes, not knowing who they are, whence they came. Because, when you get older, you start to perceive and have understanding. All right, I came through the womb of mommy and, I came through daddy. You start to comprehend the cycle of life, but you have to be taught that. So the infant child doesn't even get a chance to learn where it came from, its lineage, its nationality, its culture. It don't learn none of that. Whether it's going, what's the purpose of life? To go to school, to graduate, or whatever the case may be. So when a child is born in or dies in infancy, these are the things that comes with the nature of the spirit. They are destitute of knowledge. They have to be taught these things in spirit as they progress, and the duration is a little bit longer for when children die in infancy. It's like when a baby is born prematurely, it's a lot that goes into it to sustain that baby from so it don't die, basically. So children that die in infancy and abortion, they are attended with special care. They are taken care of with very special care. Right, you have angels that died in infancy. They never lived a corporeal life. So I just read to you how angels who die in infancy are destitute of physical knowledge. They don't have no knowledge of whence they came, who their parents were. They don't know how to speak. They don't know language. They don't know comprehension. They don't know none of that. So when they enter the spirit world, just as in the physical world, they have to be taught these things. The same way they got to be taught language, a baby has to be taught language, has to be taught symbols and objects so it can comprehend. The angels will have to teach the spiritual children the same thing. And these spirits or these angels or these one-time human beings, these babies that die in infancy, that die in abortion and miscarriage, they still continue to grow in spirit. They just don't experience a physical life. They grow in spirit. They become adults in the spiritual world, but they never experience a physical life. And a good precept on top of that in the Oahspe, in the beginning when man was created and the angels came to the earth, the angels that came with Synthantes, the Etherian god, these angels, majority of them died in infancy. So this is their first time having experience in flesh on a corporeal world in the beginning with the story of Synthantes. And I'm going to touch on that verse real quick where it speaks on how it was the spirits, the angels who had died in infancy is the one who came. So here, in the book of Jehovah, chapter 6, let's start with what? Let's start with verse 12. And it states, I looked over the wide heavens that I had made, and I saw countless millions of spirits of the dead that had lived and died on other corporeal worlds before the earth was made. So here, this verse is summing up that you have spirits of the dead who lived before the earth was made, who lived on other corporeal worlds, basically other celestial beings in the vault of heaven. So we're just making a statement. So verse 13 states, I spake in the firmament, and my voice reached to the uttermost places. And there came an answer to the sounds of my voice, myriads of angels from the roadways in heaven, where the earth traveled. And I said unto them, behold, a new world have I created. Come ye and enjoy it. And ye shall learn from how it was with other worlds in ages past. Verse 14. And here's the catcher. There alightened upon the new earth millions of angels from heaven, but many of them had never fulfilled the corporeal life, having died in infancy. And these angels comprehended not procreation nor corporeal life. So right there is saying that these angels who died in infancy do not comprehend corporality. And as I read earlier, that the angels who died in infancy were destitute of physical knowledge. So this is these angels' first time having a physical experience. So although you died in infancy and the child never experienced a physical life, eventually in the spiritual progression, the Creator will send it to a corporeal world and they will be able to experience corporeality. Wilson, Sharice, I see you. Peace, fam. Castro, I see you. What it do? So yeah, so although you may have a miscarriage and the child may die in infancy, the child still grows in spirit and then eventually will have an experience in physicality when the time comes. Now the next question was, does the child stay with his mother? Let me get that. Some goody buddies. So she says, when the babies are aborted, are their souls angry? So we already explained that the souls cannot be angry due to the fact that they're not even conscious of their existence. So the next part of the question was, are their souls angry and waiting for their mothers in the afterlife? Now, that's a good question. Are the angels' mothers waiting them on the afterlife? Though a lot of times when babies are aborted, the guardian angels will allow the infant child to stay with the mother in spirit and sustain itself. Let me see if I can find a verse where it touch on the infant child. What verse is that on? Let me see if I can find that real quick. Let me see if that's in the index. Oh. If that's in the index, let me see the infancy. Because I know it speaks on it in the primary education. I could touch on that. Let me see if I can find it in the index. It survived. Yeah, that is deep, King. That is deep, yo. So it showed you, and that's why the Oahspe is an amazing book, because it answers questions that we ponder upon. So, you know, how many people, my wife had several miscarriages. So it's like, damn, now that I know this, I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers existing in the spiritual world. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, they all right then. You know what I mean? So it's like the continuation of life, once you're conceived, continues to grow. All right, they got some infant verses here. Let me see. Let's see. Well, since we're touching on the infancy of children, let me go on a couple verses where it just speaks on that factor. So the infancy, what's that? 10:14. That's the verse I may have just read. Yes, and that was the verse I just read when it states, again, they were lighting upon the new earth millions of angels from heaven. But many of them never had fulfilled the corporeal life, having died in infancy, and these angels comprehended not procreation nor corporeal life. So these angels, they don't understand procreation, meaning they don't understand reproduction. They never had sex before. This their first time. This their first time seeing the man seeing a ding-a-ling, and the first time the woman fucking playing with a vagina. Like, oh, what's this? I never felt like this before. Because they were spiritual beings. This their first time when they physically manifested as flesh and blood. Because in the Oahspe, when the angels appeared to Asu or Adam, or the Adamites, or the Homo erectus, or the first race of men, they clothed themselves with flesh and blood. That's why I say that the angels who came and manifested, they would have had to have O blood, because O blood is a foreign blood. The most common blood in the animal kingdom is AB, but O they consider foreign. So now that would be the infancy. That would be the infancy. The spirits that die in infancy, that's the nature of their condition. They lack the corporeal knowledge. So here's another verse, 11:20. Let me see what it says here. So now, the angels that did not understand corporeality, those are the angels that took of the tree of life that you hear about in Genesis when it says Adam and Eve ate of the tree of life. It was really referring to the angels. The angels that died in infancy, now that they're experiencing corporeal life, they was warned not to take of the tree of life. Because by taking the tree of life, you're going to have offspring. Meaning to say that Don't have sexual intercourse. That's what was commanded to the angels who died in infancy. Like, this is your first time having a physical experience, but I want you to know something. Be mindful of that penis and vagina, because it's a feeling that comes with that. If you experience it, boy, it may be hard for you to turn back around. So the angels, the chief angels, Jehovah was trying to get them to stay celibate. Like, yo, don't interbreed, because if you do, you're going to be tied to the offspring of these beings on earth, being the Adamites. And you're going to be bound to the Adamites or the Homo erectus or primitive man based off your offspring. So that's why it states here in verse 20, the angels understood the commandments of Jehovah according to their knowledge in the Etherian heavens, being hearers of other planets, and having died in infancy, key part, having died in infancy, and having matured in the spirit world, but they understood not the Creator according to the practice of the lower heavens, whereof their knowledge was incomplete. See that? So these angels' knowledge was advanced when it came to the Etherian knowledge, because they grew up in spirit. They didn't have a physical life. But when the Creator said, don't procreate, be mindful of procreation. And what did the book say? They didn't understand. It says, but they understood not the Creator according to the practice of the lower heavens, of the lower heavenly kingdom, where their knowledge was incomplete. See that? Verse 21. Jehovah said, I condemn ye not, because ye have become joint procreators with the Asuans, or Adamites, or primitive man. For ye have done two service unto me, which are to teach yourselves corporeal things, that ye may comprehend and sympathize with corporeans. So that's their first lesson. Secondly, because ye have caused the earth to become people with such as are capable of immortality. So now the offspring that you got, them produced by crossbreeder with man, they're capable of everlasting life based off your angelical DNA, which would be the old blood. Now, that's the crazy part. These angels came to the earth, but I skipped the part because what I just read was just Jehovah not condemning them for interbreeding with the man. Now, let me go to the verse where they interbred. I jumped the gun. So right here, it states in verse 5, now, the time of the earth when man was brought forth from mortality to immortality, the earth passed beyond Simu, and the angels of heaven, now these are the same angels that died in infancy. Now here's the part where they actually enlighten themselves or manifest themselves as physical beings on the planet. So it states, and the angels of heaven remain with the corporeal man, but not in semblance of mortals, but as spirit. Hold up, let me go back up one. Let me get to the verse where they actually physically manifested, because that's when they actually gave up their physical bodies and was moving in spirit. Okay, here we go. So coming back to verse 6 in the book of Jehovah, where the angels physically manifested, here's the correct verse. So it states in verse 16, and now was the earth in later days of Simu, when the angels could readily take on corporeal bodies. So here it's saying that the earth in its particular age of Simu was able for the angels to take on corporeal bodies. So the angels could readily take on corporeal bodies for themselves. And out of the elements of the earth, what is the elements of the earth? The periodic table of elements, calcium, iron, zinc, gold, copper. So out of the elements of the earth clothed they themselves by the force of their own will. This is how they did it, by the force of their own will, with flesh and blood, with flesh and bone. By the side of the Asuan took they on corporeal form. So these angels took on corporeal form by the force of their own will, using the elements of the earth. What is the elements of the earth? The mineral, the periodic table of elements. So when these angels clothed themselves, they clothed themselves with the very elements that we made of. So if they was to be walking among us, we wouldn't know, because they clothed with the same mineral. So what is our skin made of? Carbon, copper. So what their skin would have been made of? Carbon and copper, if they would have manifested. The only thing that would have been different would have been the blood type. because they didn't manifest themselves genetically. So they didn't come through a gene pool. They came by the force of their own will. So the blood would have had to have been O blood. O is a foreign blood type. O is a universal blood type. O is the blood type that all blood types can get from. So that would fit more of the lineage of these angels if they physically manifested and it would have had blood running through their veins. It would have had to have been O blood. Because if they would have had A blood or AB blood, it would have showed up tied to the earth as far as lineage wise. So Asu, the primitive man, his blood type would have been AAB or possibly O. I'm not going to throw it out there. But his blood would have been tied through a blood type based off the A and AB blood. Because man at that time was real primitive. So the angels that manifested would have had, to me, would have had O blood, the universal blood type. So the angels right here states again, and now the earth was in its later days of Simu, and the angel could readily take on corporeal bodies for themselves. Out of the elements of the earth clothed they themselves, by the force of their own will with flesh and bone. By the side of the primitive man, Asuans took the young corporeal form. Now the next commandment was given. He said, I said, go ye forth and partake of all that is on the tree. So here's the commandment. So now, these angels that never experienced the physical life, who died in infancy, because a lot of them died in infancy through miscarriage and abortion. So eons later, they alighting on the earth. They physically manifest themselves in flesh and bone. So they have sensation. They're susceptible to the five senses. They look like men. You would never probably think that these niggas came from somewhere else. And then what does it say here? I said, go ye forth and partake of all that is on the earth, but partake ye not of the tree of life, lest in that labor you become procreators, and as if dead to the heavens when she came. So the commandment was given saying like, yo, you can eat of all the trees in the garden, right? Or on the earth. All the fruit trees. But the tree of life, he said the tree of life is what? That's the reproduction system. That's what continues the life process for humans and animals. The tree of life. So the tree of life, it says, but take not of the tree of life, lest ye become procreators. So if you partake of this, you're going to have offspring. And if you do that, instead what? You're going to be as if dead to the heavens whence you came. So the only reason you came to the earth was to learn corporeal things, learn a little bit of this, learn a little bit of that, and bang, shoot your way ass back out in the cosmos, in the Etherian realm. So to put it in layman terms, it's like you live in America, you decide to take a trip way over to Japan, that's like another planet, and then you just go for vacation, but you ended up going over there, meet a nice shorty, knocking her up, bam, beating up, she pregnant. Now you bound to Japan. So even if you come back to America, you got a seed that's over there in Japan. Now you bound to it. You got to remain and stick to it. So right here is basically what it's saying, that the angels came from the Etherian realms, from the Ark of Wan, as the Oahspe said. When they came to the earth, they was here only to learn corporeal things, being that they never experienced the physical life. So this is your chance to learn corporeal things. But in the process, you can eat of the fruit trees freely, learn what it feels like to eat corporeal foods. Learn what it feels like to piss and shit. Learn what it feels like to sleep, whatever the case may be. But don't partake of the tree of life. Don't interbreed. Don't interbreed with the Adamites. Don't interbreed with the primitive man. You're here to teach them, not interbreed with them. And that's exactly what happened. They didn't understand corporeal life. So like the verse states, it says, but partake ye not of the tree of life, lest in that labor you become procreators. So the verse here earlier stated in 10, he said, unless you become procreators. But then it states here, he says, many have died in infancy, and these angels comprehended not procreation, nor corporeal life. So let's use these precepts. Verse 14, it states here, but many of them had never fulfilled the corporeal life, having died in infancy, and these angels comprehended not procreation, nor the corporeal life. Now we skip over here, where it states here, in the beginning, wait, hold on, no, all right, right here. And it states, and he said, go ye forth and partake of all that is on the earth, but partake ye not of the tree of life, lest ye become procreators, and as if dead to the earth whence ye came. So he's like, yo, first they don't understand what procreation is, and then they're being warned not to procreate. So that's a double curiosity, because when somebody tell you don't do something, you're going to want to go do it. You're going to be curious of that. Curiosity is what kills the cat. So you're going to be curious as hell. What are you talking about? Procreation. And that's exactly what they did. They interbred with the primitive man. And it states, but those who never learned corporeal things, being imperfected in wisdom, comprehended not Jehovah's words, and they dwelt with Asu, and were tempted and partook of the fruit of the tree of life, and lo and behold, they saw their own nakedness. And they was born the first race, a new race called man. And Jehovah took the earth out of the travel of Simu, and the angels gave up their corporeal bodies. So the angel interbred with primitive men. And when it said that they saw their own nakedness, meaning that they saw their offspring, they saw their children. They're like, oh shit, what the fuck is this? They never experienced this shit before. They don't know about no offspring and having children. They don't know about sperm cells and all that. All they going by is the impulse of the flesh. So if if a dude is walking to see an African primitive woman and her titties and butt is out, he start getting this feeling of temptation and lust. He don't know what that shit is. This is his first time experiencing that shit. And if the Asu land and is tempting him or whatever the case may be, he go over there, he's tempted, his rod rise up. He like, damn, what the hell is this going on? I never felt this. He run up in her. He like, damn, this shit feel good. Bust off in her. Wow, this is a great feeling. She pregnant, 9 months later, he see the baby. He's seeing his own nakedness. He's like, what the fuck is this? So this was an experience for the angels who died in infancy to experience a corporeal life and to avoid the tree of life, which will produce offspring, and you will be bound by your offspring. And that's what happened. The angels was bound to their offspring, as it states here. It states here that they interbred with Asu, and they saw their own nakedness, and there was born the first race, a new race called man. Jehovah took the earth out of the travel of Simu, and the angels gave up their physical bodies. So now they're in spirit again. Jehovah said, because ye have raised up those that shall be joint heirs in heaven, ye shall tread the earth with your feet and walk by the side of the newborn, being guardian angels over them, for they are of your own flesh and kin. See that? So the angels, the parents now, they gave up their physical bodies moving in spirit as guardian angels to their own flesh and kin. They own offspring. They looking at their offspring like, damn. So they created a new lineage on the planet. You had this is some of the lineage. You have Homo erectus, Homo habilis, so many of the names, I can't remember them all, but Oahspe shows you that these angels, by the force of their own will, took upon corporeal form, interbred, and had offspring. And then it says, fruit of your seed have I quickened with my spirit, and man shall come forth with the birthright to my Etherian worlds. So we have a birthright to the Etherian worlds. As I have quickened the seed of the firstborn, so will I quicken the seed of the earth. So will I quicken all the seeds to the end of the earth. And each and every man child. Now here's where reincarnation cannot be true, because of this factor right here. It states, and as I have quickened the seed of the firstborn, so will I quicken all seed to the end of the earth. And each and every man child and woman child born into life will I quicken with the new spirit. See that? He ain't saying with an old reincarnated spirit, but every person born, a man child, a woman child that is born, is given a new spirit at the time of conception, which shall proceed out of me at the time of conception. Neither will I give to any spirit of the higher or lower heavens power to enter a womb or a fetus of a womb and be born again. See that? So right there, it's downplaying reincarnation. The Creator said, I don't care how high raised you are, you will not re-enter a room and play like you reborn again. At the time of birth, at the time of conception, a new spirit is given to you as a new individual being, and that's where your journey begins. So anybody that teaches reincarnation is teaching engrafting and spiritual possession and spiritual engraftment. So the spiritual, so the angels that died in infancy, or the mortals that died in infancy through miscarriage and abortion, in the beginning, those were the angels that slipped up and interbred with Asu. That's the missing link in Genesis, but that's a whole nother story. I just wanted to touch on the nature of the spirits who die in infancy and the nature of their condition, and how they don't know physical things, or when they first cross over their destitute, have no knowledge and have to be taught. And when they taught, they're being taught spiritually. So like the book said just now, it said that when these angels are lighting on a new earth, they had all the knowledge of spirituality, but they were incomplete when it came to corporeal life and corporeal knowledge and procreation. They were incomplete in that department. So by them having the experience, now everything is about experience in life. So by having the experience, now they're learning. So now they could teach other angels when their time comes, like, yo, don't do that shit. Y'all niggas died in infancy, we died in infancy, and we came to this earth, we interbred, and we was bound for 200 years and blah, blah, blah. To avoid that, just do the work what you're supposed to do so you can get up out of here and get back to the Etherian realms. But if you interbred with these primitive men, you're going to be bound here, and then you're going to take, your duration is going to be longer to get back to the Etherian realms whence you came. See that? Oahspe touch on that. 196:5. Let's go with another verse we'll touch on the infancy. 196. Yeah. 196:5. 196 verse 5 and 6. Let's see what we got here. Now here's more description of infancies that die in spirit. Alright, so here. In the book of Fragapati, son of Jehovah, chapter 21. In the book of Fragapati, son of Jehovah, chapter 21, verse 5, it states, you know what? Let me go one up, verse 4. To corporeans I gave corporeal ears and corporeal eyes and corporeal ears, that they may attain to wisdom on the earth. But to few I give suas, that they may see and hear things spiritually. So again, let me read that verse. To the corporeans, to the physical man, I give physical eyes and physical ears, that he may attain wisdom on the earth. But to a few I give suas, that they may hear and see spiritual things. Verse 5. To the spirits of mortals who die in infancy, I give spiritual eyes and spiritual ears, but without cultivation they hear not corporeal things, nor see corporeal things. But to such spirits as have fulfilled an earth life, I created them to see and hear after death the matter of both worlds. See the advantages of living a long life? When you cross over in spirit, you have the ability to hear both and both hear and see both worlds, the physical and the spiritual. But if you die in infancy, what is stated? To the spirits of mortals who die in infancy, I give spiritual eyes and spiritual ears. But without cultivation, they hear not corporeal things, nor see corporeal things. Let's stick right there for a minute. So it states here that if a baby dies in infancy, or if a child dies, the child will develop its spiritual ears and spiritual sight, but it will not be able to hear physical things nor see physical things. Now, how is that possible? Coming back to, like I said, the science of life. Coming back to the electromagnetic spectrum. Let's pull it up. Let me see if I brought that in. Did I bring that in here? Yeah, right here. Boom. So right here, what you see here is the vibrational frequency of creation. This is the electromagnetic spectrum. The vibrational frequency of everything in creation. So what you're looking at, those rainbow colors you see right there, that's what you consider visible light. That's the whole spectrum of the electromagnetic spectrum. But that centerpiece that you see that's colored, That's visible light. Those wave frequencies existing or moving outside of that visible light in the white is considered unseen to mortals. So the mid-range frequency is the physical frequency which is seen. The higher frequency, the spiritual frequency, is the unseen. The lower frequency is the unseen. So when you see where it says infrared frequency, microwave, and radio waves, those are the lower frequencies. Those are low vibrating frequencies in the unseen realm. But where it says ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays, those are your high vibrational frequencies. Those are unseen and outside of visible light. So with that being said, when a child dies and is born in spirit, their body exists in that realm, the unseen realm, the vibrational frequencies outside of visible light. So now if you look at the demonstration here, visible light in the center is the physical man. Physically sees, physically hears. But the spiritual man, existing in the higher frequencies or the lower frequencies, they hear sound and sight within those frequencies that is outside of visible light. So for each frequency, you hear what's in the frequency and you see what's in the frequency. But you do not hear and see in the frequency that is not in your range. So for example, visible light. Everything you hear and see in visible light, you only see there. You cannot hear and see things in the infrared range. You cannot hear and see things in the microwave range. You cannot hear and see things in the radio wave range. You can only hear and see things in visible light range. Likewise, on the faster vibrational frequencies, you cannot hear and see things in the ultraviolet range. We cannot hear and see things in the X-ray range, and likewise with the gamma ray range. You would have to be in those ranges to hear and see the frequencies. So now, like the book said, coming back, it states, verse 4, to the physical man I give the physical eyes and physical layers that he may attain wisdom on the earth. That would be the vibrational frequencies of 400 to 700 nanometers. That's able to see physically and hear, physically. But it says, a few I give to Suas that they may see and hear things spiritually. So Suas is the ability to hear and see things spiritually. What does that mean? That means you have the ability to tap outside of visible light. So you may have the ability to go into the ultraviolet range and see things and hear things in the ultraviolet range, which would be unseen to mortals. And likewise, on the opposite scale, on the lower vibrational frequency range, you may be able to tap in and see angels in the infrared frequency range or the microwave frequency range. That's why when you look at some of them old movies like, what was that, Poltergeist? What was that movie? Damn, I forgot the name of the movie where the girl got trapped in the TV screen and she was trying to come out the TV screen. That's low vibrational frequency waves that they're showing you in. But it's spiritual. But to come back to this now, verse 5. To attain to the spirits of mortals who die in infancy, I give spiritual eyes and spiritual ears. Let's stop right there. To the spirits of mortals who die in infancy, I give spiritual eyes and spiritual ears. So those spiritual eyes and spiritual ears will be existing either in the ultramagnetic vibrational frequency or the infrared vibrational frequency, right outside of visible light. That's the spiritual eyes and spiritual ears, or the vibrational frequency that they will be seeing in. So the spirits of mortals who die in infancy, I give spiritual eyes and spiritual ears. But without cultivation, they hear not corporeal things, nor see corporeal things. So you can't hear or see physical things, meaning that the spirits existing in the vibrational frequency outside of visible light cannot hear or see things in that realm. See that? They can only hear or see things in the realm that they're in, and the vibrational frequency that they're moving in. So it states here, but without cultivation they cannot hear physical things nor see physical things. But to such spirits as have fulfilled the earth life, I created them to see and hear after death the matters both worlds. The matter of both worlds. Verse 6. Nevertheless, there are many spirits in heaven who have not fulfilled either a spiritual or a corporeal life, and they can but see a little and hear a little. for which reason I commanded that they should be called drudges, signifying spirits of darkness. So it's showing you that the spirits that die in infancy, they exist in the unseen realm until commanded by the Creator to go into visible light and experience the physical realm. So these just are examples of angels who die young, or humans who die young and don't fulfill a physical life, how they continue to grow in spiritual or in the spiritual realm, and they have an incomplete knowledge of the physical. So just imagine you may have been in second grade, first grade, kindergarten, and you may have a classmate that may have died back then, at that age. Incomplete in corporeal knowledge, but he's grown in spirit. So ain't nothing wasted. When a person dies, you're just not wasted away. Life continues after death. That goes for the full-grown adult. That goes for the baby that had a miscarriage. You still exist in spirit. Here's another verse talking about infancy, spirits existing outside of visible light, or children who die in infancy. It states here, this is interesting. Verse 3, this is in the book of Leka, son of Jehovah, chapter 3. So let me come back. Just want to break down that visual for y'all right quick now. Chapter 3, it states, behold, the spirits of those that die in infancy call out to me, saying, tell us, O thy Creator, how is it with the earth? How is it with mortals who dwell on the earth? What do they toil about? What do they toil at? Have they schools and hospitals and factories like unto ours? Have mortals mishaps and trials? So here is a question asked by the angel who died in infancy. How is it among mortals? How is the corporeal life? Well, how do they live? So these angels who died in infancy, although they advance in the knowledge of spirituality, their knowledge is incomplete when it comes to physicality of the corporeal world. See that? So they still have to learn this shit. So it's backwards. They'll advance in the spiritual world and have a lack of knowledge of the physical world, while we advance on the physical plane and have a lack of knowledge on the spiritual plane. See that? So the spirits who die in infancy, they're still obligated to learn physical things. Alright, now let me get to that one, okay. Let me finish this verse and I'm going to go to the mothers. Do the aborted babies stay with their mothers? And the answer to that is actually yes, but I'm going to try to find a verse where it touches on that. So here the spirits of who died in infancy are raising questions. It states, behold, the spirits of those that die in infancy call out unto me, saying, tell us, O thy Creator, how is it with the earth? How is it with mortals who dwell on the earth? What do they toil at? Have they schools and hospitals and factories like unto ours? Have mortals trials and mishaps? And they have roadways and oceans and waters and hard earth? How can these things be, O Jehovah? Why is it that mortals cannot go down to the earth and into the bottom of their oceans, even as we do in heaven? See that? The angel who died in infancy, who never experienced the physical life, is asking, raising a question, the same way where we in heaven could go down in the ocean, the heavenly oceans, and we ain't suffocating and come back up like it's nothing. Why can't they do that? See that? Their knowledge is incomplete on the physical world, about physical things. So again, it states, how can these things be, O Jehovah? Why is it that mortals cannot go down into the earth, into the bottom of their ocean, even as we do in heaven? Verse 5. How didst thou create us alive in the earth? What was the place like? Why do mortals carry around with them such earth houses, meaning physical bodies? Cannot they go in them and out of them at pleasure? So the angels ask you, why they carry these physical bodies? Can't they move in and out the bodies as they want? So these are the questions the angels are asking, having a lack of knowledge of corporeality or physicality. Verse 6, what do mortal mean, O Jehovah, by mortal life and mortal death? Doth the clay and stone and water they dwell in, the earth body, have life and death? What do they mean by this is mine and that is mine? See how destitute these angels are when it comes to understanding the physical way in the physical world? Verse 6, what do mortals mean, O Jehovah, by mortal life and mortal death? Doth the clay and stone and water that dwell in them have life and death? What do they mean by this is mine and that is mine? Verse 7, shall everyone retain his own body? How do the earth body grow? Do they eat clay and stone and water? Where do they get their body? Where do they get their blood? Do they eat hair that they may have earth hair? See, these angels are completely ignorant on the anatomy of the physical world. Verse 8, why is it that they bring not up their bodies with them when they are dead? Wear their clothes over their spiritual wear they clothes over their spiritual body only, or over the earthly body also. Verse 9, great are the works, O Jehovah. Take me to Yatanti, thy great subjective heaven. We would learn by figures and pantheons the illustrations of the earth. We would learn by thy panoramic heavens what mortals do, how they live, and what their schools are like, and how they contrive to teach the corporeal senses by corporeal things, how their boats are made and propelled, and their vehicles travel along upon solid earth. So these angels that died in infancy, that have no knowledge of corporeality, is going to go to an angel, a Lord, that's going to subjectively teach them how corporeans live. So don't always think that these angels in the high heavens are super intelligent, which they are, but are all knowledge and all knowing. No. They could be advanced in the spiritual world and be just as dumb as a third grader when it comes to physicality, being that they died in infancy. Cal P, throw puncher, I see you. Y'all in the building. Is the Grim Reaper the same as the Asafs? Good question. Funny you bring that up, because when I first read about the Asafs, I was like, damn, they collect the spirits of the dead. But not in the sense of a Grim Reaper, because that's just an obligated job that they do according to the heavenly kingdom. That's like saying a nurse at the doctor. When a baby is born and that nurse gets the baby, that's what the Asafs are. They receive the spirits of the dead. And what does a nurse do? The nurse takes a blanket, clothes them, put you in the area, make you feel warm and things of that nature until it's time for you to go home. So that's the Asafs are angels that receive the spirits of the dead. But now you have false gods who have emissary angels that receive the spirits of the dead also. No, those would be more like your Grim Reapers, because they have evil intent, or they have self-intent, intention to do things for themselves or their own agenda. So let me see if I can find a verse about the baby. Matter of fact, it's a verse in the Oahspe, in the flood, where it talks about the mothers that are going to be pregnant, that's going to die in the flood, that's pregnant, but their children is going to remain with them. Let me get that verse for you real quick, since that was the second part of your question. Let me get that out the way. Where's that at? Let me see if I can find that real quick. Let me get the beat up Oahspe for that one. You know, when you got the older books, you just know where things at all the time. You can go right to it. You gotta mark up the new book so you remember where things at, where this at. I'm gonna mark this and beat this book up. So what we talking about? When the children are, all right, let me see here. We talking about when a mother dies, when a child dies, does the spirit of the child belong, does the spirit of the child still dwells with the mother, or Does it get a chance to visit it or see it or what? So let me see if I can find that verse real quick. All right. This shit run deep, y'all. Told you the Oahspe is no joke. That's why it survives, you dig? But you not forget these things are nowhere else, yeah? Big up yourself, large up yourself. All right, let me see here. Oh, shit. Let me see if this is it right here. Because when I feel like that, like the justice of the Creator is amazing. It's like no stones, he don't leave no stones unturned, you know what I mean? All right, let me see here. Yes, yes, yes. Let me keep rattling on. So we're looking for the infancy when the child dies. All right, I found it. Bang! So here go your question, right? Here go one of your answers, or one of the precepts to the question. So in the book of 8th, Son of Jehovah, chapter 4, verse... All right, let me start with verse 5. Verse 5 states, "But it shall come to pass that many mothers shall perish in the waters with children in the womb." That was your question. In the womb. "Which live by fetal as is proper in my sight. For so created I them." I hear the catcher. Verse 6. "Therefore, to all such fetal give special care, for they are without sin." Talking about the unborn baby. "And when the mother is dead corporeally," when the mother dies physically, she's pregnant now, "and the fetal also, the baby in the womb, bring hence their spirits, but together, and provide a volunteer angel of fetal power, and deliver the infant spirit to her to be nurtured until the proper time of weaning, and provide in the same place a home for the mother of the child, that she may inherit its love and merit." See that? See that? So although the mother is going to die with the womb being pregnant, in spirit they're still together. They're still together in spirit. Ask somebody who read the Bible or the Quran, what happens if a pregnant mother dies? What of them? What is the nature of their spirit? What did the Oahspe say? "And when the mother is dead physically, and the fetal also, bring their spirits together, and provide a volunteer angel of fetal power, and deliver the infant spirit to her to be nurtured until the proper time of weaning, and provide in the same place a home for the mother of the child, that they may inherit its love and merit." So see that? Oahspe show, that's the Creator right there. Show me in the Bible where you're created. In the Bible, the God telling you to kill infants. Let me get this picture of an infant. Show y'all. Did I download the infant pictures? No, I don't think I uploaded those. Upload the picture of the infant to show the preciousness of an infant. And your God out here talking about kill off infants. So yeah. So there you have it. In the Bible, in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 3, God commands the killing of infants. But here in the Oahspe, God is restoring the spirits of the dead who die prematurely. See that? What's waiting for her when she dies? Well, she's going to a realm, a heavenly plateau, to be restored. The heavenly hospitals. They provide hospitals. So where they go, all right, let me get you that verse where they go. So here, it states, now this is during the time of the flood, so this is just in context as far as the time of the flood. This is the sinking of the continent of Pan, and I'm just rendering this verse up to you just to show you the nature of a mother and a child together and how they cross over in spirit and they're still together. But they're taken to colonies, home-like colonies. The same way when a baby is born in the hospital and then after a couple of days you take it home, it's the same thing in the spiritual world. their home-like places set up. So all right, so the colonies that they go to, let me see if I can find a verse where it touches on that. Boom. It's a vibes, you dig? Yeah, so every time the creator, he has a plan. He always has a backup plan. So it states here. Now in verse 9, for a couple in the book of 8th Son of Jehovah, chapter 6, verse 9, it states, "And my hosts hastened in all directions with their birth blankets, and received the drudges, the spirits of the dead, the fetals, and Essenes, and millions, and gathered them to the places of the fountain of light, whether I had provided atmosphere for them. And they were placed within, and their numbers were so great that even the God had scarce seen like a number before. And in order to attest before thee, O Jehovah, I had them numbered using the sections of the divisions of my gods and goddesses in order to do so." And then it gives you a number. So basically, it's already set up and organized what will take place of the spirits of the dead after they perish. It says they'll be birthed on birth blankets and received and gathered in the places of fountain of light, where I would provide them with atmosphere. So it's places for them to go. For another example, well, that's the sinking of the continent right there. So they got places of colonies where they will be redeemed from such, from the places of their death. That's the beauty about the Oahspe. There's colonies and home life. The spiritual is inhabited with home-like places. Let me get that. That's in the Book of Judgment. Let me see if I can find that real quick in the Book of Judgment, where it talks about the spiritual places are inhabitable in home life. Boom. So when you understand that, you'll know that every time somebody cross over and die, they not just lost in the sense of there's no foundation where they at. The same way a baby is born into this world and it comes into a structure, is born into a building, a hospital, and it goes home and all that, come into a structured world. Likewise with the spiritual world, it's structured. Cats ain't over there just floating in space and non-existence. Now it's tangible to the touch just like it is on earth. Yeah, that's why this Oahspe cold-blooded, Joe. Touches on the physical, on the spiritual, on whole nother realms. Habitable and home-like. Alright. So let me get the verse where it talks about Jehovah provide places for the spirits of the dead that are habitable and home-like. Boom. Let me see. Let me get that real quick. Alright. Cause it's a vibes. You don't know the vibes not stop. The vibes are keep going forward. As the graves are on earth. Yeah, yo, this shit is, the Oahspe is magnificent, yo. I just want to find out one verse. So it states here in the book of Judgment, chapter 12, verse 6. It states, I people the heavens of the earth with the spirits of the dead. According to their grades in their corporeal life, so do I arrange them. So things are arranged in the spiritual world based off of what? Your grade, your behavior, your intent, what you did upon the earth. And And in verse 5 it states, my heavens rest upon the earth. The place of the newborn spirits are in my keeping. And the place of the great of the heavens have I adjusted according to the inhabitation of the earth, or thereof. See that? I people the heavens of the earth with the spirits of the dead. According to their grades in their corporeal life, so do I arrange them. To provide them unto everlasting resurrection, I make them to rejoice in their being. These are the labor of thy God. So he's telling you that after death, things are arranged. Now here's the verse right here. Verse 17. I fill not the air of heaven with angels scattered about, but I give unto them regions habitable and homelike, and I grade them suitable to the resurrection of the spirits of the dead. So every person who cross over in spirit, they're going to go to a place habitable and homelike, because the same way when you born into the world, you come home to a foundation, a community, some housing. It's the same thing in the spiritual world. As above, so below as above. You ask somebody who read the Bible these same questions, you ain't going to get them clear like this. You ain't going to get chapter and verse with that. Ask somebody who read the Quran these same questions, you ain't going to get chapter and verse and explanation for that. See, the Oahspe is the revelation of the spiritual world. So we will be fully aware of the process of the physical and the spiritual and how they coincide. Nikki, what it do? You see me? What's good, fam? You need to hop back on this series, yo. Stop playing. I need some shooters, man. I need some shooters for the show. Yeah, this is what I do on my other time, yo. I get on this knowledge, drop some wisdom and understanding. You know what I mean? Got damn near 10,000 subscribers on this channel. You know what I mean? It's crazy, right? I was doing this before Atlanta's Ugly, sis. Nikki, I've been doing this before Atlanta's Ugly. That's the crazy part about this shit right here. Big up to Aunt Nikki. Check out her. Yo, Nick, put your link in the chat. Put your link in the chat for your products. My homegirl, she sell products. She got her own business going, you know what I mean? So, Nick, go ahead and put your link in the chat. You know what I mean? More people will support. They'll check it out. If they see something they'll like, they'll support, they'll buy. You know what I mean? They keep me going with my business, with my tea business, you know what I'm saying? So, y'all stay communicating, y'all stay doing your thing. So, my last question, are the birth dates in the Oahspe all fall back after this? What'd you say? Giggle? Thank you so much, brother. After this Google, you got to rephrase that question. I kind of lost on that one. Yeah. What's waiting for her when she dies? What's waiting for who when she dies? What you referring to, sis? Because according to your death, your existence, what you do in your physical realm, in your physical life, I should say, is going to determine and dictate the nature of your spirit. If you done murdered niggas, you're going to encounter that energy when you cross over. That's why the Creator say don't kill. He ain't saying don't kill for his own good or the Creator's own good. I ain't going to put a he or a she. For the Creator's own good. The Creator say don't kill because the person you kill can retaliate on your ass in spirit when you cross over. That's why in the Book of Jehovah, right? Where that verse at? Alright. This is why the Most High, the Creator, say don't kill. It says, verse 5, in the Book of Jehovah, chapter 8, verse 5. With foul gases of atmosphere shall they make weapons of war and places of torment. With these elements shall they make suffocating hells in order to cast one another in. Chaos. Verse 6. And mortals, meaning human flesh and bone beings, and mortals who shall be slain in war, shall be born in spirit in chaos on the battlefield. In chaos shall such spirits enter the spirit world, and they shall not know that they are dead as to earth life, but shall still be fighting right and left. So just imagine that. So that's it states those for niggas who slain in war. Now, street gang activity is warfare. The same warfare niggas is fighting in Afghanistan, the same warfare niggas is fighting in the street. which is fighting your ops. So you in the street banging it out, bam, 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 bam. You take a shot, bam, you laid out, you die right there on the scene. You wake up in spirit, like, what the fuck going on? You still think you alive. Because, you know, the concept of death, we don't know. We think when we die, that's it. So if you die, you pass out. Because death is like, you just passing out. But then you pass out and wake up, you like, nigga, I'm straight, I'm conscious. But you're not in the physical plane. You're not vibrating in that physical frequency no more. And that visible light right here. Coming back to that visible light, because this shit is science. It's not spookism. We don't deal with spookism, we deal with science. So on a science scale, where that? Hold up. On the science scale, bam, right here. On the science scale, the spirits of the dead exist outside of visible light. So the spirits of the dead, if you're moving on a faster vibrational frequency, when you cross over, your vibrational frequency is going to be moving in the ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma ray frequencies. But if you're moving on a slower vibrational frequency when you cross over outside of visible light, you're going to be moving in the infrared, the microwave, the radio vibrational frequencies. Those are slower vibrational frequencies. So when you cross over in spirit, nigga, you still alive. You just shedded the physical body. But that which activated your physical body is what's going to exist after you die. And that which goes with that is your personality traits. You see that? When you angry, when you happy, you know what I mean? That's what come with you after you die. The shit you do to people, that shit is like leaving a little trail. Everything is marked. Everything is recorded. Ain't nothing done secretly that you think you're gonna do, and the Most High and his guardian angels ain't gonna be like, look at this nigga, think he keeping a secret, not knowing we watching this nigga, but they outside of visible light. The angels move outside of visible light. That's why niggas don't believe in that shit. Ain't no angels, nigga. That shit ain't real. The ancestors don't exist. The spirits of the dead don't exist. The reason you don't believe in it because they exist outside of visible light. You can't see the motherfuckers. That's why you don't believe it. But every now and then, you may get a glimpse of one of these niggas. They may tap in. They may lower their vibrational frequency just enough for you to see their ass. And I can guarantee you can ask your great-great-grandmother, ask your oldest relative in your family if they ever seen the spirits of the dead. And I guarantee you they're going to tell you an experience that they had where they seen Auntie Ray Ray, Aunt Ray Ray, Uncle Ray Ray, or Auntie Nene. They done came over in spirit and I done seen them and they sat on my bed or something. Shit like that. See that? We touch on these things over here. Or are there any birthdays in the Oahspe? Not necessarily birthdays like they like how we celebrate birthdays today. Other than birthday, like, you know, you may have the prophets born on a particular day, like Yahshua. They have Yahshua's birthday in the Oahspe. You know what I mean? Birthday in the sense of the day he was born, but not birthday in the sense of celebrating and partying. Or if they did, it's not really, you know what I mean, spoken about like that. Nah, feel free to ask as many questions. That's what we here to dizzle. But that's how it works. This is the vibrational frequency. See, this is the electromagnetic spectrum, what you're looking at right here. The electromagnetic spectrum is the vibrational frequency of everything in creation. Creation is made up of solid, liquid, and gas, whether if it's the physical realm or the spiritual realm. The seen or the unseen. The seen is what you see right there. The color spectrum, the unseen exists outside of that color spectrum. So the spirits of the dead, Auntie Ray Ray, Uncle Rara, who done died on, they exist outside of visible light. And they could be lingering in the same house that they accustomed to, in grandma's house. You know what I mean? So the spirits of the dead, when they first cross over, they come back to the house that they was in. They linger in the house that they was in. In the Book of Judgment, it talks about that. Lingering spirits. Let me pull up that picture of the ancestor to show proof of what I'm talking about. Let me put up the picture of the ancestor. Bong. That's the chariots right there, clothed in a cloud that we was talking about. But let me find a picture of the ancestor. Where she at? Bong. There she go right there. See that? That ancestor is still lingering in the area she may have died at, in that region. So that house that she's standing at may have been a house where her relatives was living in the late 18, early 1900s. And her spirit is still lingering there. See that? That's a real picture right there, beloved. Yeah, reality got that. So check it. So the reason these spirits be lingering, because they're not in the ways of resurrection. Oahspe call them lingering spirits, spirits of darkness, spirits that have not learned to resurrect above the planet. Let me find that. Is that in the book of, I think that's 4, where it talks about that. Let me see if I can find that verse. They talk about those below the grades and how they linger in homes. Yeah. The shit run deep over here, beloved. Angels that are below the grades. So in the book of Judgment, chapter 4, verse 11, it states, "But if such angels are below grade 1, there are more than 6,000 million, being mostly as such angels as know nothing more than babies. For the most part, they were full-grown adults as to earth life. Some are fetals and engrafters, professional reincarnators, who dwell with one mortal during his lifetime and engraft themselves on another mortal during his lifetime, and so on, calling themselves reincarnated, and in fact knowing no other heavens, being disbelievers in the all-person and in my exalted kingdoms. Such as are below grade 1, thy God hath classified as drudges, being spirits that have not left the earth and are bound to mortals," just like the ancestor right here. She's bound to the earth, and she's around mortals. She's supposed to have been ascended and got the hell on. It's atmospheric plateaus above this earth, glorious for you to be dwelling in, but you still lingering down here on the earth with us after death. And it states in verse 13, "They mostly inhabit the oldest cities and places of filth and indecency. Nevertheless, they also inhabit the palaces of kings, queens, emperors, popes, priests, and rich men. And of grade 1, there are hundreds and millions of angels strolling about on the earth." See that? So that's just one angel we see in real time that my man caught on camera by his crib. She seen the spirit, pulled out the camera or whatever, and caught the picture, and bam, behold, lo and behold, we got it. But the book just said it's millions upon millions of ancestors, spirits of the dead, lingering around like this, walking around, moving just like how you see in the picture. We just can't see it. Luckily, she tapped in. She tapped in of a vibrational frequency where she became visible. Now, like I said, this ain't spookism, it's science. So coming back to the science spectrum, right here. So where you see 700 nanometers, let's say she came and tapped into where she was 700 and let's say 50 nanometers. 800 nanometers is outside of visible light. We can't see that. But 700 nanometers, we can see that, although that's the borderline of visible light. So if that ancestor vibrational frequency was moving at, let's say, 750 nanometers, we would have been able to pick up on it. We would have been seeing it like a ghost, like see-through. Because if you notice on the picture of the ancestor, you see right through her. She's not tangible physically, but she's just enough to be seen. See that? You can see right through. You can see the door behind her. But then you can see her face. You can see her. You can make her out. You can see what she got on, her dress and all that. You can see she got a little thing on her head and everything. See that? That's a real picture. Stone Mountain, Georgia. That picture was taken in. But it's a science. It's vibrational frequency. Your spirit, what is spirit? Spirit is ruach in Hebrew. What is ruach? It's air, it's breath. Air is frequency, vibrational frequency. You dig? That's just how we're moving, family. What you saying? I saw the spirit of a little boy I know that passed away in my car trying to talk to me a few days after he passed away. Exactly. Exactly. That shit is real. It was a young boy over here who died by me some years back. He got killed. And his sister said she seen him running in the backyard. You know what I mean? Because when he got shot, he ran off. You know what I mean? So he's still running in spirit. Not knowing he done crossed over and passed out and died, he's still running in spirit. So people will get glimpses of the spirits of the dead for a vague time. But quick time, you may see it. I can tell you some crazy stories. I'm going to get some people to talk their spiritual stories to show that these things are real. Young, I see you. Khan, Shalom Alaikum. Kevin, I see you. Interesting indeed, Ken. That's why I say you got to get you to Oahspe, because it's a book that challenge your belief. It challenge your thinking. It opens you up to a lot of more than we normally know. It's an abnormal book. It's above normal because it's talking about things you normally don't talk about. Spirits of when a person dies and all. People be scared as fuck to talk about death. There's some people about here, when you start talking about death and dying, them niggas shut down. They out of here. While we dealing with this shit openly. You know what I mean? We dealing with this shit like it ain't nothing. Like, nigga, I'd rather know than not to know. Nigga, I need to know. Because if we don't die anyway, and you trying to tell me it's instruction that we can know and be aware of while we alive, I need to know that shit. So when I cross over, I'll be better prepared to deal with that shit than to know nothing and your ass cross over and you having a horrendous experience. You don't know what the fuck to do. You dig? And the reason why we don't have this understanding a lot of times is because of what the gods did. It's because of what the gods did. You know what I mean? The gods of antiquity, the gods of ancient Egypt, the gods of ancient Sumer is responsible for our thought process today as far as our spiritual belief system. We believe what we believe based on the Bible and the Quran. Like I've been saying, the majority of Westerners is either Muslim or Christian. If you were Hebrew Israel, or I could just say the Bible and the Quran, because there's many nominations that fall under the same book. So instead of naming the denomination, I just name the book because they're reading from the same book. So whether if you're a Christian, a Hebrew Israelite, an Old Testament Hebrew, a New Testament person, still reading the same book that these false gods compiled and got you believing, having a lack of knowledge of the spiritual realm. So the Sumerian gods is behind that. The Egyptian gods. You got Baal. He's responsible for a lot of your belief systems. You got Osiris. He's responsible for your belief systems. If you notice right here, Osiris and Baal got the same headdress on. You see that? That headpiece? It's the same thing. You know why? Because they was working together. Before they split up, they was all on the same page. That's why you can see the customs and culture of these false gods through their outfits, their clothing. They was working together at one time. But what you see here is the judgment hall of Ma'at. That's the spiritual system of the afterlife for ancient Egypt. See that? When your ass died, like how Christians say when you die, you're going to go see Jesus or whatever the case may be, when you died in ancient Egypt, this was the concept. You got the dude to the far left walking with, who that? Anubis, Anpu. And then above Anpu, Anubis, you have the judges, the 42 judges of Ma'at. So the way it works is you walk in and see that's Osiris sitting on the far right. That's Osiris sitting on the throne. That's him sitting on his G stance. He G'd up. You know what I mean? That's the OG right there. That's the Godfather. He G'd up and he got the two shorties behind him. That's his Empress them. You know what I mean? You know the OGs always got to have the females rubbing their shoulders. So that's Osiris sitting on the throne. That's Osiris playing God. When you talk about the throne of God, this is the earliest concepts right here of the throne of God. Osiris sitting on the throne. Because Osiris was God of Egypt. So the way the proceeding worked here is that you entered the judgment hall with Anpu, Anubis, and then above you're judged by the 42 judges. You know, the laws of Ma'at have you, just like thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that. You know, you go through that with the judges, and then below you got the scale of Ma'at, where you got Anubis maintaining the scale, watching the scale. You got your heart on one side and something else on another to balance it, to see if your heart is balanced. And if your heart is not balanced, you got the creature. I forgot the name of the creature, but he's there to devour your spirit if you're in balance. So that'll be like Satan in a sense, in a Christian sense. But if you pass the 42 judges of Ma'at and your heart is balanced, now you're greeted with entering. You see the guy pointing towards Osiris, like, all right, nigga, you done made it. Come on through. And now you become one with Osiris in the field of Rush, or the fields of Reed, according to the Egyptian text. That's the paradise in the Egyptian terminology, the field of Rush or the fields of Reed. So that's the Kemetic spiritual system of the afterlife. You're going to become one with Osiris. But keep in mind, this is of ancient Egypt. You have the same proceedings, but that which of Suma. Suma is where the biblical story of creation is rooted in. So in Suma, they go your Elohims right there. They go the tree of life. The Elohims. When God said, let us make men, those were the niggas right there. In the scriptures where it says, man has become like one of us, lest he take from the tree of life and live forever. They talking among themselves. That's what's going on here. Then you got the cherub, the Christian cherub, the Egyptian creation of man, Kanun creating man. See, all this shit come out of Egypt and Sumer, man. And Constantine compiled it and made it make sense. Tree of life again. I went through this yesterday. You know what I mean? Then later on, it came into the Serapian era, the Ptolemy era. Serapis is created. There's so much history that these false gods laid out throughout the ages to keep mortals away from the Creator, to keep mortals worshiping statues and idols. There goes Osiris again. Look at the headdress. That's the same headdress Baal had on. See that? They talking about, oh, Osiris is an aspect of nature and all that. Nah, this nigga was a deity. That's a man right there. What aspect of nature is that? That's not the wind, the trees, the grass. That's a nigga right there. That's who Osiris is. A person. Not an aspect of goddamn nature like they try to tell you, and that's Apis the bull. So Apis the bull and Osiris gave you Serapis. That's what the Ptolemies did. And we come to the Hebrew captivity. Now the Hebrews was in captivity during the 7th, 8th, on down to the 5th century BC. That's during the time of the captivities of the Hebrews. And this is the ancient relics that they carved the stone of the Hebrews. So when people say that Israelites or Hebrews don't exist, they carved on rocks in history. And look, if you notice, they got beards and locks. And they playing instruments, and they got the garments on, and you can see the fringes at the bottom of the garments. See that? That's what's going on here. And here's a closer picture of the locks. That's a closer picture. Not yet. Not yet. Ain't giving them yet. So boom. They go Hebrews going into captivity with locks and bandanas on their head with nappy ass beards. That's it. Those are Judite men right there. Judite, because the northern tribes, when they was taken, those were the 10 tribes. They was taken under the Assyrians. And the southern tribe, which was Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, they was taken under the Babylonians. And they go to relics, they go to evidence. So if these niggas telling you these niggas didn't exist, well, goddamn, why is the evidence showing something different? That's a closer picture of the niggas with the locks. See that? Look at them thick ass locks or braids, whatever you want to call them. And look at the beards. Them is black people right there, yo. Them is Hebrews going into captivity. Here go another picture of the king. What does it say? King of Jehu of Israel leads a procession bringing tribute to Assyrian king Shalmaneser, 583 BC. See, that's during the time of the captivity. But look at Israel kissing ass, my nigga. We the chosen people, but they got relics of you in history kissing motherfucking ass. Ain't this a bitch? Look at that. Nigga ass all in the air. Kissing ass to the Assyrians. And who led the Assyrian captivity as far as the inspiring host of angels? It was Ashtoreth. Do we need to get that? Let's get that while this nigga ass in the air real quick to show you that a female brought the captivity of the Assyrians. And the Assyrians and the Babylonians was inspired by the goddess Ashtoreth. See that? While Baal, the Canaanite deity Baal, was ruling in Canaan at the time, because that was their beef. So let's see if we can find that. Oh, that's in the book of Esther. Let's get that real quick. This shit run deep, yo. See, we give you the physical history. When I want to touch on that, I can touch on the physical history, but I'm going to give you the spiritual side, because you could always do the physical history on your own, but this spiritual shit, you ain't going to get this every time, yo. This shit come once in a blue. You got to get it while you can. Unless you got the Oahspe. Unless you got one of these revelations. We're gonna show you how these false gods was battling the land of in the Levant region, in the region of Egypt, Canaan, and Mesopotamia. That triangular war. It was a triangular war going on in that region right there, and the dominant gods of that region was Osiris, the Canaanite Baal, and Ashtoreth. Yep, those were the gods that was at war. So right here in the verse in the book of Esdras, chapter 11, this is the time period that you're looking at right here. This is around the 8th century BC that I'm reading. But these are the angels that are having territorial disputes over land and mortal subjects. So here in verse, let me see what verse I want to start with. Verse 6, it states, the Israelites made a mortal king, and by their behavior said, rather man than Jehovah. Behold, we will have Adonai, the Lord, with us to fight our battles. And Baal, the Canaanite deity Baal, hold up. Let me see if I can find Baal. Do I got Baal on deck? That nigga right there. Bam. All right, let me get them Assyrians out of here. Bam. So that's Baal right there. That's the Canaanite Baal. This same Canaanite deity is the one who's going to inspire the Israelites. So check it in verse 7. And Baal, god of the adulterers, heard and saw, and gloried in the course, and hastened to the scene with millions of his angel slaves, to inspire the Israelites. Let's go back to the Israelites. Bung, right here, the Israelites. It says to inspire the Israelites to glory in the Lord God, who he assumed to be. So this nigga assumed to be the Lord God, as the verse states. He said, Baal, the god of the adulterers, heard and saw and gloried in course, and hastened to the scene with millions of his angel slaves to inspire who? To inspire the Israelites to glory in the Lord God who he assumed to be. So now he's assuming to be the Lord God, Adonai Elohim, among the Israelites. And what happened? What happened? Verse 8. And millions of the Israelites fell beneath his power and became his spiritual slave. See that? And the others still remained steadfast, secret oral rites remain true to the secret name and person of Eoah, Jehovah. So it's showing you that there was a split among the Israelites. Those who started following this guy, Baal, and those who were steadfast to the Creator, who stuck to the Creator. So you have these, say for example, these are the Israelites right here who stuck to the Creator, and this nigga kissing ass is the one who decided to go against the Creator and ended up going into captivity. So again, it states, and millions of the Israelites fell beneath his power and became his spiritual slave, and the others still steadfast in the secret rites, and the secret oral rites remain true to the secret name and person of Eoah, or Jehovah, or Yahweh. Verse 9. The which Ashtoreth saw. Ashtoreth is the female goddess. Now Ashtoreth is the goddess who was over the Babylonians. I should have got a picture of her. But she is the female deity that is over the Babylonians and Assyrians. So it states in verse 9, the which Ashtoreth saw. And for the first time of all, after 2,000 years friendships to Baal, she became jealous and filled with vengeance and wrath. And she said, I see now how this treacherous God hath planned to beat me in the regions west of Hellas and Europe. By the flesh of my thigh I am sworn that this shall not be. And here's the catcher. She said, I will send a legion. I will send 100 million warring angels down to Babylon. See that? You heard what she said? She said, I'm going to send 100 million warring angels down to Babylon and Tyre and Yidman and Luz, and inspire their mortal kings to make war on the westward cities of the strongholds of Baal. Which is the westward cities of the strongholds of Baal? It's Canaan. It's the land of Israel. So this is what's taking place right here. This is the actual picture of in history of what is actually being played out by these angels. Because how did they inspire mortals to do this? Through inspiration. She said, I will send 100 million warring angels down to Babylon and Tyre and inspire. That's the key word, inspire. That's how these angels are doing their will on earth, through inspiration. So it says, and inspire their mortal kings to make war on the westward cities and the strongholds of Baal. And as to impoverish Egypt, I will send their mortal armies sufficient to destroy everything in land thereof. See that? This is taking place in the 8th century BC. And then verse 11 states, yeah, I will send my legions also amongst the Israelites and inspire them that I, Ashtaroth, am the only true Lord and true God. I will divide them up as a broken bundle of straw and cast them into the four winds of heaven. So that's what's taking place here. So the Babylonian captivity, when the Israelites got invaded by the Assyrians, when the northern kingdom got invaded by the Assyrians, it was the goddess Ashtaroth who was behind the inspiration. And when about 200 years later, in the 5th century BC, when the Babylonians invaded the southern kingdoms, same thing. She was behind that. You niggas went into captivity by a woman, a female goddess. And Baal was the rival. Y'all was under the inspiration of Baal. Only a few Israelites were steadfast to the Creator, but the majority of them had fell. So these are just depictions of the Israelites in captivity. See, so that's another cats going into captivity. 583 BC, you see them, they got their locks. Or they bearded, they got their fringes and their garments on, and they got their materials. There go some other Assyrians and Hebrews going into captivity. See that? That's what's going on, yo. Assyrian relief, Hebrews in captivity. See, they got cornrows in their head on that one right there. Just like on that one, they got the locks. So all this took place during the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th century BC. You know what I mean? During the time of the 24th arc cycle, after the creation of mortals. Based off the timetables of prophecy, you know, we got the science and all that. You dig? Face down, ass up, ass nigga. Nigga, you stupid. That nigga J. Rule's a face down, ass up, ass nigga. Y'all niggas supposed to be the chosen people, and you motherfuckers bent over like that and shit. Hell nah, boy, you silly. What up, my nigga? Yasher Allah, peace. I see you, King. Yeah, them niggas, you know what? That's funny. Let's go run that back. Because you know the Israelites, they always talking about a nigga kissing the feet, right? Now look at that. You got the Israelites that stand on the corner to try to get the other nations to kiss the feet of their boot. But here we have 853 BC, the king of Israel kissing the goddamn boot of the Assyrians. Licking that nigga motherfucking bottom of his shoe. With his ass up. You know what I mean? Look at that. Anytime an Israelite ever tell y'all niggas to kiss the boot, you bring this picture up and show them niggas this shit right here. Be like, nah, nigga. Until you kiss the ass of these Assyrians like your goddamn forefathers did, I ain't doing a goddamn thing. You pull that picture up on them niggas. Yo, this shit is sad, man. Y'all niggas going into captivity based off of not following the law, statutes, and commandments. So how y'all are chosen people and you're not following your own law, statutes, and commandments? We got to keep it 100, son. We got to keep it 100, son. Yo, that was a good one right there, yo. That shit was funny as hell. That's crazy. Peace to the fam. What's good? As a matter of fact, let's play some music, my nigga. Let's vibe, man. We've been going hard for a minute. It's a vibe, you dig? And when it's a vibe, the music must play. Let's bring it up. Let's bring it up. Let's bring it on in. Yeah. 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 That's what the fuck I'm talking about. It's a vibes. Yes, I. Large up yourself. Big up yourself. Black Royal Family. Selah Shalom TV. Know what I mean? Go get your drink. Man, if I roll up a big spliff right now, you're not king. Yeah, man, things are run deep in the blood clots. Yes, I. Big up to everybody in the chat, man. Everybody chiming in. Chiming in with your boy Selah Shalom. Y'all could be doing anything else, but y'all here with the God. Y'all here with the God, chilling. Cause it's a vibes, yeah. It's a vibes. You done know. You done know Shibu 144. You know how we do. Yes, I. It's a vibes. Large up yourself, big up yourself, give thanks for life. All praise to the Creator. What you getting here is the words and inspiration of the Creator. You ain't getting no deity talk here. We're not talking about no Jesus Christ here. We're not talking about no Muhammad. Worship no Muhammad or no Allah. We're not worshiping no Jesus Christ and no Christ business. We only deal with the Creator over here. When it comes to goddamn acknowledging the being, it's the Creator and none else. The incomprehensible. You can't see the Creator like you see a person. You're not going to wake up and say, oh, there go God, there go the Creator. Nah, man. That's the greatest deception that has been played on mortals' minds. That the Almighty Creator is in the image of a man or a woman. Nah, man. The Creator is incomprehensible. The Creator is all in all, everywhere present. And symbology of the Creator is the circle, representing current energy, no beginning and no ending, consistent flow. That is life. Motion is life. In order for there to be life, there has to be motion. And the very first cause of creation is very that motion. When the vortex, or when the Creator gives motion in creation. It's the vortex that is manifested. The vortex is the voice of the Creator. The expression of the Creator is that which the vortex produces in creation, which is celestial bodies, sun, moon, and stars, planets. It's a system in order to creation, yeah? Cosmologically, naturally, it all plays a part, yo. Without sunlight, you can't have vegetation. If the sun go out, everything on the planet, vegetation-wise, will die. And then animals and mortals will die. So the sun is very important to our existence. The moon is very important to our existence. The moon cycles, that's how we tell time. That's how we determine the night and days, seasons, signs, and years. Peace and light, Angelic, I see you. Peace, family. Yeah, we just vibing out right now. Hits the vibes. Yes, I. Get it back to the Creator. That's the true Savior. Stray away from these false gods and return back to thy Creator. That's the message. That's the core message of Selah Shalom. The service done unto others in righteousness. Obtain knowledge so you can advance in the grades. And return to the Creator. And gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in the process. See that? It's a vibes. Christopher, I see you. Peace, love, and light, King. Yes, I. Large up yourself. Big up yourself. Bless it, my Lord. Yeah. Yeah. Hits the vibes. So yeah, these false gods is the ones who brought Israel into captivity. The Assyrian captivity. The Babylonian captivity was all under the inspiration of these false gods. Baal was the god of Israel during the time of the captivity. This is the nigga who played Adonai Elohim. That's him right there. When they're talking about the Canaanite El, Baal, and shit like that, that's the God. That's the one who inspired Israel. That's when Israel left Egypt and they went to go into the land of Canaan. That was the dominant God of the land of Canaan. Because they just left out of Egypt. Who was the dominant God of Egypt in the Middle Kingdom? It was Osiris. Osiris was the dominant God in the Middle in the Old Kingdom. Well, in the Old Kingdom, who was it? Anubis. Anubi was the god of the underworld. By the time the Middle Kingdom came, Osiris became the god of the underworld, according to the text. So Baal is the one who encouraged and inspired to be God over the Israelites. And when he did that, as to Oth moved in with the Babylonians and brought the motherfuckers into captivity under Baal's watch. So Baal allowed that. He had to take that L right there. Can't take all the wins, brother. You had to take that L. Exactly. Yup. So you got to take them L. So all this is taking place in the 23rd arc cycle. All the history we know is just in that 23rd arc cycle. You know what I mean? Right there. That's the time period everybody's stuck in right there. The 23rd arc cycle. 3953 BC or 4th millennium BC to the 15th century BC. That's the time period everybody's stuck in. The ancient, the Cometian community, the ancient Egyptian cats, the Black Power cats, they stuck in this time period. That's the rising of Egypt. The Hebrew Israelites, they stuck in that time period because the 15th century was the time of Moshe, time of the Exodus. And the Christians is just an amalgamation of the two. Long wives with Islam. So all that's what's going here. Khufu is the pyramid builder. Menes is Narmer. Narmer is during the time of the unification of Upper and Lower Kemet. So yeah, that's what's going on here, yo. And then habitable time. So we got it all, yo. Niggas is arguing about Esau and Edom and the nations. We got cosmological shit laid out. We talk about the creation to the extinction of mortals, far beyond the Esau and all the Jacob and all that. There's more to it to creation than that. You dig? The sunken continent of Pan that not too many people even aware of. We touch on all that shit, yo. Might not leave no stones unturned. You dig? Continent of Pan in the Pacific Ocean. We touch on all that, my love. We touching on all the heavenly kingdoms, the lower heavens and the higher heavens. The arc cycles of 3,000 years. See that? That's a 3,000 year period. So, but within that 3,000 year, you have subcycles. And these subcycles are the successions of the gods. The same way the presidents succeed each other, the same way in the heavenly kingdoms, the gods succeed each other. And that takes place every 400 years within a 300-year time period. And that's one arc cycle that takes place. So within one arc cycle, you have 6 reigning gods for one arc cycle. So that's like saying 6 presidents within a span of, say, X amount of years. So in 3,000 years, you have 6 gods that reign for a period of 400 years within one arc cycle. And look how many arc cycles we got right here. See that? See that? So this one arc cycle with the subcycles of the successions of the gods, that's just one out of all these. See that? So we right now as human beings are in the 25th arc cycle. This is where we at right here. But one of these that's just one arc cycle. We've been through 24 of these successions of 3,000 year periods, giving us a total of 72,000 years, the half age. So from the creation of man, first era of civilization, the time of the sinking of the continent of Pan, to the present time. That's how the earth is moving through the cosmos along with the solar system. They're moving through these 3,000 year periods called arc cycles. Let's read on that. Let's read the arc cycle. Let's touch on that. Where we at with it? Book of 8th. So it stay here, right? Those what you see is arc cycle. So it states, first the earth plieth in a circuit around the sun, which circuit is divided into 4 arcs called spring, summer, fall, and winter. So the arcs we familiar with is spring, summer, fall, and winter. That's just 4. But look how many is on the chart right there. That's 25. So let's see what the next verse says. So we understand that the earth goes through 4 arcs called spring, summer, fall, and winter. So verse 2 states, second, the sun with his family, meaning the solar system, plieth in a large circuit, which is divided into 1,600 arcs, and the distance of which for each arc cycle is about 3,000 years or one cycle. See that? So there's 1,600 arc cycles within the orbit of the solar system in comparison to our only 4 arcs, spring, summer, fall, and winter. So just imagine the seasons changes in each cycle of a 1,600 year arc cycle, or 1,600 arc cycles, I should say, at distances of 3,000 years. And we only got 25 up there. See that? So this is an orbit. It's an orbital thing. The solar system is orbiting the Milky Way galaxy, but at 3,000 year increments, it's measurements. So what is the purpose of an arc cycle? It says, verse 3, during a cycle, the earth and her heavens fall under the Etherian regions of Etherian worlds, where dwell Yahweh's high-raised angels, whose chiefs have to deal with the management of worlds. See that? So the archangels, who are stationed at the arc cycles, their duty is when the earth passed through these arc cycles, descend down to the earth and inspire mortals with new invention, depending on where mortals' progression is at. So it states, during the time of a cycle, the earth is therefore under the control and management of such angels for the resurrection of man of the earth. See that? So depending on wherever man is at, when these angels come, they will determine what is necessary for man for the next 3,000 years. So for example, if man was running around this motherfucker naked, they know how to clothe themselves, when that arc cycle comes, the angels will say, alright, let's teach these niggas how to put on clothes, make them clothing, and boom, bam, boom. So they're going to teach them that for the next 3,000 years. And when that's done, they're like, all right, we're going to teach them this now for the next 3,000 years. And when that cycle is done, the next set of archangels will come and say, all right, we're going to teach mortals this for the next 3,000 years. And that's how the cycle is ran. That's how we progress. Some things was taught by the angels. Some things was hand delivered by the angels. Look how we popped up. Look how we popped up now. Technology just popped up out of nowhere. We just booming with technology. We just came out goddamn riding on horses a couple 100 years ago, and now we flying in jets and cars. Don't think that extraterrestrial intervention ain't going on here in the high echelons of the government and the elite. The elite know what the hell going on. Exactly, like grades of a school of sort, right? It's a vibes. Simu, yes. See the Simu and age. There's so much to talk about on the Oahspe. So much to talk about. It's a vibes. Yes, family, let's vibe out. Let's go into the cosmos. Let's turn it up. Yes, it's a vibes. Yes, all praise to the Creator. You dig? The Creator tries us. Because it says, test the spirit to make thyself approved. So the spirit must be tested. It's a vibes. Yes, all praise and glory to the Creator. So much wickedness are going on in the world. So much distractions. Motherfuckers have forgot about the Creator. All praises due. Yeah. It's a vibes. In the book of Discipline, chapter 1, verse 1. This is the wisdom, or the words from the organic heaven. Hear the words of thy God, O man. I am thy brother, risen from mortality to a holy place in heaven. Profit thou my wisdom, and be admonished by my love. So here God is telling you that I am thy brother. I am thy brethren, risen from mortality. What is mortality? We are mortals right now. This is mortality. This is the mortal life. So what God is telling you is that I was once a human being. Keep in mind, God is a title bestowed on an angel to have rulership over the heavenly kingdom. No different than a king is a title bestowed on a mortal to have rulership of the earthly kingdom. Do not get it confused with the Creator. That's why God is clearing it up in the Oahspe saying once again, hear the words of thy God, O man. I am thy brother, risen from mortality to a holy place in heaven. Profit thou in my wisdom and be admonished by my love. For as I am thy elder brother, so shall it be with thee to rise also in time to come. See that? He's telling you, you're going to experience the same thing I'm going to experience. I just came in here before. I was just born before. I was born in the 1700s, and now this is where I'm at with it. Just as an example to show you of spiritual progression. You're going to get it. That's like an elderly man telling a young child, yeah, you're going to get here. As long as you continue to grow, you're going to get where I'm at. So that's what God's telling them. For as I am thy elder brother, so shall it be with thee to rise also in time to come, and look back to mortals and call them to the exalted heavens of the Almighty. To Jehovah all adoration and glory forever. Amen. By and through him is all motion, all life and power, things seen and unseen. Nor is there any angel in heaven so high or sufficiently wise to comprehend Jehovah in his entirety, nor to see him as though see thy fellow man. According to the Bible, God is a man. In the Oahspe, it just stated that you cannot see Jehovah Yahweh as a man. So Yahweh in the Oahspe is described as an incomprehensible entity that you cannot see like you see in me. But in the Bible, it states God is in the image of man. In the Bible, it states God said, let us make man. In the Bible, it said, God said, man has become like one of us. But in the Oahspe, it says that you will not see Jehovah as you see a man. See the difference? See the difference from understanding, worshiping the deity, and the difference in identifying the Creator? It survives. We identifying the Creator in the Oahspe. It says, nor is there any angel in heaven, because God is a title bestowed on an angel. So nor is there any angel in heaven so high or sufficiently wise to comprehend Jehovah in its entirety, nor to see him as thou seest thy fellow man. Hear thy God, O man, and distinguish then that the twine God and Yahweh Jehovah are not the same. No more is thy God than what thou wilt be in time to come. See that? See that? You're going to become a high-ranking angel one day. That's just like telling a child, you could be a supervisor or a manager at a company one day when you grow up, as you progress. That's what's going on here. That's what the angels are trying to relay to us human beings. That when you cross over and you shed this physical body and you enter the spiritual realm or the atmospheric realm above, you're going to advance and progress. And then as you advance and progress in the spiritual realm, you take on titles no different than you would on the physical realm. You take on titles such as manager. You take on titles such as supervisor. You take on titles such as mayor, governor, president, king. Those same titles are given to experienced workers on the physical world. So these same titles as God, Lord, and Savior are titles given to angels that are advancing the atmospheric and etheric world. See that? As above, so below. Verse 17 states in the book of Discipline, chapter 1, as the kingdom on earth hath a king, and the king is nevertheless immortal, so in like manner is the heavenly place of thy God, a kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God, an angel also. See that? See how the Oahspe clears up these things? No confusion. God is not the creator, but the head chief of the heavenly kingdom. And it gives you a precept and an example of the earthly kingdom of a king being immortal, but the title is king. So an angel that is advanced, his title is God in the heavenly kingdom once he sits on that throne. So like the verse states again, as a kingdom on earth has a king, and the king is nevertheless a mortal, a human being, so in like manner is the heavenly place of thy God, the kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God, an angel also. Howbeit, the kingdom of thy God embrace all the heavens of the earth. So is it also with corporeal worlds and their atmospheric heavens, a God and an organic heaven belonging to each and all of them. See that? So for each inhabitable planet in the cosmos, there is an angelic system no different than we have on earth. As above, so below. The physical kingdom is a reflection of the heavenly kingdom, and the heavenly kingdoms are a reflection of the earthly kingdoms. As above, so below. Hits of vibes. Where's it, family? It survives. Yes, they can be exposed as lies, because in Jeremiah verse 8:8 exposes the liar as being false pens of the scribes. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. Yes, I. Let's get Jeremiah 8:8. Who wanna post that? Let me get it. Cause see, Jeremiah the prophet was aware during his day that there was false scribes writing falsehood. Hits the vibes. So here, right? Jeremiah 8, verse 8 states, how do ye say we are wise, and the law of the Lord is with us? Lo, certainly in vain made he the pen of the scribes is in vain. See that? Jeremiah was aware that them scribes in Israel at his time was writing in vain. Falsehood. Oahspe exposes the deception of the false gods, so you could be totally clear of the deceptions of any deity coming to deceive you. Once you finish reading Oahspe from front to beginning, you will not return back to the Bible, because you will have a full understanding of the spiritual system. The Bible is incomplete with the spiritual side. It's only showing you the history and of the Hebrews. That's what the Bible is. It's the book of the Hebrews, especially the Old Testament. The Old Testament ain't talking about where the pyramids at in the Bible. That's one of the greatest wonders of the world, and it's not even the story of the pyramids in there. But in the Oahspe, at least it touches on the pyramid building. It gives credit to the ancient Egyptians in the Oahspe and black people in the Oahspe. It talks about how Moses was black in the Oahspe, copper skin color. It talks about how Abraham was copper skin color, black in the Oahspe. And it even shows you the proof, because Abraham was from Ur of Chaldea, which is Persia. And the people of Persia looked at it like this. The people of Persia, boom. That's how Abraham would have looked. Fierce to look upon, like the Oahspe say. Look at that face. Let me get a close-up of the cats with them locks. Oh, not that one. It's another one I got where they got the close-up of that same picture. Where them naughty locks them hang out. This one right here. Bong! All right, let's get the close-up of this picture. Right? See that? See them lofty beards? Them locks? In the Bible, it talks about the Nazarene vow where you have to let the locks of your hair grow. See that? Look at them locks, man. And the full picture is that right there. That's the full picture of that same picture. That's just a close-up. It's the full picture. These are Israelites playing instruments. Hebrews playing instruments. Them look like Rastaman them. You know what I mean? If you want to get the closest picture of an Israelite, put up to our Rastaman, the Naya Bingi and the 12 tribes, Bobo Ashanti. That's that right there. That's how them cats look. Them look like Rastamen right there. Straight from the Caribbeans right there. It's like the Assyrians and the Babylonians had them lofty beards. They had them real lofty beards. Even in this picture right here, when you look at the Assyrians on the tree of life, like right here, look at the lofty beards and look at the locks hanging back and they rocking the turban. That's the same flock of Abraham. That's Persia. That's where Abraham is from. That's why in the Oahspe, when it gives you the description of Abraham, it talks about how he was fierce to look upon. He had a lofty beard and all that. Let's get the description of Abraham real quick in the Oahspe to show what I'm talking about. In the Bible, it doesn't give you a description of Abraham, so we can say he white. But in the Oahspe, it gives you a description of Abraham, and you can't say he white. And that's only for people who play the race card in the color game. So we're going to go into the complexion of Moses, how he looked. I mean, not Moses, what's his name? Abraham. Abraham. So where the verse at, where it gives his description. All right, so here it is right here. So in the first book of God, chapter 8, verse 7, it states, Abram was of pure blood Ahuin, and the light of Suez had been with his forefathers and foremothers since the flood. And he was large and red like new copper. See that? Like new copper. And had black hair, a long beard, and fierce to look upon. But his soul was gentle as a woman. But look at the description they said. First they said he was copper skin tone. That's the same complexion as them cats on the screen. When you look at the original picture, they dark copper skin. And then it said what? He had black hair and a long beard. See that? That's the Persians. That's the description of Abraham. And the picture you see here is the very same people from the region that Abraham is from. So Oahspe is coinciding the description of Abraham with actual pictures of antiquity. Because the Egyptians didn't wear no lofty beards. The Egyptians didn't rock facial hair and long hair like that. But you find that more among the Babylonians and the Assyrians and the Hebrews. Because the Hebrews is the descendants and cousins of the Babylonians and Assyrians. Because Abraham is from Ur of Chaldea. So even with the tree of life, where that? So that's the other picture of the tree of life where it shows the other cats with the lofty hair and beard as well. Right there. You see the lofty beards. And then when we come back to the Hebrews, you see the same thing. You see the lofty beards and the locks. See that? So the descendants of Abraham carry the phenotypes with them. So the description that the description that the Oahspe gives of Abraham fits the description of the actual Hebrews in antiquity. So again, with this picture now, reading how Abraham looks again, it states, it says what? And he was large and red like new copper, and had black hair and a long beard, and fierce to look upon. Them cats right there is fierce to look upon. You know who else is fierce to look upon? When you look upon the Rastaman. When you look upon the Rastaman with the lofty beard and the big Congo dreadlocks, that's fierce to look upon. So you got, he's copper skin tone, black hair, a long beard, fierce to look upon. That's exactly what you see right there in that picture. See, we come from the culture, so we accustomed to looking at ourselves and not look fearful. But if you know, some white people will look at you and be scared to death when they see the locks and the beard. I see some white European, they look at me and be shook, like scared to death because of my appearance. So that's why the Oahspe says fierce to look upon. But then it says what? His soul was gentle as the lamb, meaning he was a peaceful man. You know, I just look like this, but I'm a peaceful dude. That's like a lion. You're looking at a lion, ferocious and fearful to look upon, and that motherfucker come licking you and shit. Like he on some peaceful shit, but this nigga's ferocious to look upon. So that's the same description that the Oahspe gives of Abraham and his descendants being the Hebrews, and you see the evidence. You see the evidence. See that? Going more captivity. More Babylonian captivity. You see the nappy beds. And then you have a depiction of the Mashiach. See the copper skin tone? See that? What did it say Moses was? Abraham? He said, he was large and red like new copper and had black hair and a long beard. All those men in that picture is dark like red copper skin tone. Look at their beards. They got lofty beards too. These are the descendants of Abraham. Or the descendants of the Assyrian, the Mesopotamian, Babylonian. All of them is cousins. All of them is the same family. The Hebrews, the Babylonians, the Mesopotamians, the Persians, all that is one same flock. So you got black people like this. You got black people that look like this and that look like this. That was from Persia. Africanoid features, dreadlocks, that's like Rasta. That's like taking the Rastas from the Caribbeans and placing them niggas in Iraq. Placing them niggas in Persia. But then you still got your Congolese Africans there. So you got these Rastas migrating in the Kemet with all their hair, culture. They got these long locks, these lofty beards, and they enter in Egypt, and the Egyptians is against facial hair. They against long hair. They felt that that was unclean. See that? Putting it in perspective now. So that's what you had going on in antiquity. These Shemites, these Persians enter in the land of Egypt looking like goddamn fierce to look upon niggas. They talk about the Hyksos, the invasions of the Hyksos and all. It was these same set of looking people. Persia is a big state. It's numerous of them. It's numerous nationalities in Persia, but they all carry that same look. Now look at the Babylonians and the Assyrians going into captivity. Look, they're like the same people. They're like cousins. That's cousin taking cousin into captivity. The Assyrians and the Babylonians look just alike. Look at this picture with Jehu on the ground. The ass kisser. Look at this nigga. He look just like his those are like Israelites too. Those are Assyrians standing right there. But those Assyrians look just like these cats right there. But they not. Those supposed to be the ones going into captivity, and the Assyrians are the ones taking them in. Or the Babylonians. So what I'm showing you is that these niggas is cousins, man. And the Oahspe gives you the description of these the Shemites. And I ain't talking about Shem referring to a person. The Shemites being the fleets of Shem. For those who know what I'm talking about. So they go the nigga kissing ass, kissing the boot. You know what I mean? That's why the Israelites so pressed on other nations kissing the boot. Because this nigga is the first boot kisser in history. You don't even see Egyptians kissing ass like this. But of all people, goddamn, the Hebrew Israelites got to be kissing ass with his ass up in the air. That shit fucked up, man. That shit's sad, Joe. I'm disappointed in you niggas. Hit survives, family. Yes, blessings, King. Blessings. Bless up, bless up. Yes, it survives, no. It survives, no. You dig? Yeah. So we touched on some good things today. Putting things in perspective like always. You know what I mean? The duty is to return back to the Creator and avoid these false gods. Bring it out, indeed. It survives. So you want to avoid these false gods. Because we touched on a question that was asked about the infancy of children. What of they? And we show you how they exist in spirit, but they lack a knowledge of corporeality. So they learn spiritually with the lack of a corporeal knowledge, but then they're given an opportunity to learn corporeal things. And that description is given in the book of the book of Jehovah at the beginning, where it describes how the spirits of the dead who died in infancy got a chance to live a corporeal life. So all those miscarriages and children that died through miscarriage and abortion, well, best to believe, eventually they'll live a corporeal life. It may not be no time soon, but it'll happen. Because we have eternity. We have everlasting life. When we die, that's just the beginning of spiritual life. Your physical death is your spiritual birth. So at the moment of your death, from that time forward, is the existence in your spiritual realm, in the afterlife. So if you knew somebody that died 10 years ago, that means they're 10 years old in the spiritual world. If you knew somebody that died 20 years ago, they're 20 years old in the spiritual world. If you knew somebody that died yesterday, they 1 day old in the spiritual world. And that's how it works spiritually. It survives. Joseph, I see you, Thunderbird, my dude in the building. Peace and blessings, King. Yo, you still doing the martial arts? Let me know, King. Young educated, I see you. Young and educated. All praise to Yahuwah, the Creator. We just vibing right now. You know what I mean? We give our praises to the Creator. Keep in mind, the Creator is not a man that you will look upon. Yes, definitely. What art, King? Let me know what art you studying, man. Me and my son be spawned all the time, yo. But we need some serious training, some real discipline when it comes to the arts, because we just be spawned and shit. We practice some groundwork, a couple stand-up, you know what I mean? Some Kempo. You know, I'm fucking with your team, Moses Powell and them, you know what I mean? Mutaka and them. Hassan and them killers right there. So I know you nice if you still practicing, King. Big up to Joseph, man. It survives. What's the difference between the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God? What does it take to go to a heaven and not be lingering spirit? Well, the kingdom of heaven, that's like saying kingdom of earth. So God is the ruler of the kingdom in heaven, the rightful ruler. So you have true God, the rightful ruler, the kingdom. So to say heaven is to say earth. That's just the playing field. So the kingdom will be placed in the heavens, and the ruler of that kingdom would be God. So the kingdom of God is in the kingdom of heaven, which is like saying earth, the kingdom of earth. The kingdom of earth is who? The president. The president is the ruler of the country. Just giving you it in layman terms. Can I do a live on Pan? Sure enough, we did a couple lives on Pan earlier. Actually, we did one, I think it was the day before yesterday, I forget. Go like 2 or 3 vids up. We touched on Pan, the Ring of Fire. You know what I mean? I touched on the Ring of Fire here. You know what I mean? We touched on Pan for a minute, like right here, the Ring of Fire and all that. We touched on that a couple days ago. We touched on how the Etherian angels. We touched on how the Etherian angel hedged around the ring of what they call a Ring of Fire. That red right there. That's where the angels hedged around. The Etherian angel hedged around the continent in order to sink the continent. We touched on that. Go back and check the other videos on there. Yeah, we touched on that. The Etherians contracted tenfold, which is the power to crush the continent. Yeah, we touched on that. Yeah, man, it's ups and downs, King. You know what I mean? Not to put nobody down, but it's and then people, we gotta face life. It's actually a privilege to do what we're doing, to do this. You know what I mean? There's parts of the world they don't have no electricity, they don't have no internet. You know what I mean? This is a privilege we have. That's why in the Oahspe it says the Cosmon era is gonna spawn in the West. The truth is gonna come out the West. Ain't nobody giving you this truth right here from the Oahspe. And I'm not talking about like me giving you the truth, but the information that the Oahspe is rendering up is coming from the West. The Oahspe was written in New York City, of all places. That's where that shit came out of, the New York City. I love me some New York. So people in Africa don't got the Oahspe unless they got it from the West. See, the revelation of the truth is going to come from the West in this dispensation. It came in the East in the antiquity. It started in the East, and it's going to end in the West. That's the cipher. That's the circle. But people come and go, man. They gonna show back up. You know what I mean? Trials and errors ain't no joke. You know what I mean? Like false gods. They were righteous gods before they became false gods. Like if you look at the story of Lua among Captivity and Enuxa, when they broke away, they didn't have evil intent, no bad intentions. They were still trying to serve Jehovah in the process of becoming a false god. But what made them fully fledged false gods is their ego and their pride. That's what made them fully false gods, their ego and their pride. They started believing that they was the almighty creator, and they started inspiring other angels to believe that he is the almighty creator in the image of man. Until this day, that's what we believe, that the almighty creator is in the image of man. Hits of vibes. Oh, Eye to Eyes, Real Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, the brothers. Yeah, sure enough, man. You a killer then, Joseph. You ain't playing no games. You ain't playing no games if you on them levels right there. Me and my son, we watching some of the videos. We'll pause it and try to reenact the moves because we ain't got no... Mutakabe is out here though, but I want to get my son rocking with Mutakabe. What about the beings in the center of the earth? Do they have any ties, connections with the Oahspe? Well, the Oahspe talks about, worlds that are inhabited within and without. And the earth does have caves and caverns that can be inhabited. And, it's time, I think the sacred little people were the ones who really occupied the caves and caverns. Because, the Oahspe talks about it was the little people, the irons that showed the Ahuans everything. You know what I mean? How to get the iron core, how to go to get the mineral rocks and all that. So the irons more likely would have been familiar with the inner earth or the depth caverns of the earth. You know what I mean? If anything. Just my take on that. The Star of David. The Star of David, I'm giving energy to a false god. Now, the Star of David, you're not giving energy to a false god because The Star of David is not just the Star of David. You find that symbol not in Egypt. I mean, you find that symbol outside of Israel. That symbol is in Egypt. In Egypt, and that symbol is in India. The Star of David, the true triangles, in India, that's the symbol of heaven and earth. See that? So it's your perspective. But the Star of David has been a dominant perspective. So when we see the Star of David, we think of Malak and we think it's demonic, not knowing. Just like the swastika. Hitler took the swastika and made it something negative, while originally the meaning of the swastika means currency flowing in all directions. The swastika is a symbol of the vortex. But look what Hitler took it and made it into. So nowadays, if you try to say you're going to represent the swastika, they're going to look at you like, oh, you one of them type of niggas. You a damn Nazi. Same thing with the Star of David. The Star of David in India is a symbol of heaven and earth conjoined. The triangle going up is heaven, and the triangle going down is the symbol of the earth, and they're conjoined. See that? So it's your perspective. Get different perspectives so you don't feel grounded. You only subjected to the false god if you believe and follow the false god. So if you follow and believe that Star of David is of a false god, he got you. But if you take your eyes off that false god and understand that this symbol is a symbol of heaven and earth conjoined, now that false gods have no power over you. Because now he's not getting the glory no more. Or she's not getting the glory no more. See how that works? In the earth, hella cool. You got in the earth, you got mountain caverns. Yeah. You got the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon got plenty of caverns. What's that movie? What's that movie? The Hill Have Eyes? Who seen that movie, The Hill Have Eyes? They showing you how they go deep in the caverns in that movie. It survives. You heard they got cities and stuff in the earth. Well, they got that already in the shit. They already exposed how they got cities underground. They got whole highways underground. They show you trucks, 18-wheelers riding like they on the highway above, but they underground. You know what I'm saying? The earth is so massive. It's so much to explore. They haven't even fully explored Africa yet in some of them jungles out there. Man, ain't even able to get through there. The earth is massive, yo. Don't think this earth is a goddamn small place. This shit is huge. Whether it's global or flat, whatever you believe, this shit is huge. See, it comes a time where these false gods get exposed, and the Oahspe expose these false gods. See, the way it works is these false gods prosper, and then when their kingdom collapse and get cast in hell, they're delivered out of hell, and then they're given judgment. They sit there, and they got them, their verdict get read to their ass. The survival of Atlantis. Now, you know, my perspective on Atlantis is Pan. So, I just look at Pan as the theories that they give to Atlantis. I just look at it like Pan, because the way Oahspe describes Pan and the sinking of Pan, how that was one of the most biggest and catastrophic events in the Oahspe, I figured that, okay, that whole Atlantis must be Pan, because in the Oahspe it talks about when the earth reached the 10th civilization right here. Let's get it real quick. Because it survives. When the earth reached right here, the 10th, right there, you see that? The 10th arc cycle after the creation of man is the first era of civilization. So when they talk about Atlantis being an advanced city or an advanced place, whatever, This is the first era of civilization. And Pan was still around at this time. It didn't, the Pan sunk during the 17th arc cycle. So this is the 10th arc cycle of the first era of civilization where man inhabited the whole planet, as the Oahspe describes it in the book of Synopsis of 16 Cycles. Let's get it real quick, since we're talking on it. Let me just read that verse as a quick little precept to show that the 10th cycle is the first era of civilization on the planet. So now it states here, the 10th cycle was under Mitzelativa, chieftainess of the arts of Logosback in the Ark of Nu. See that where it states the Ark of Nu? That's the arc cycle. So this is 30,000 years after the creation of man. What we're reading right here, the 10th arc cycle. And it states, and now the earth was full with people, and all the continents and islands of the earth were inhabited by man. Nor were there left any wilderness wherein man did not dwell. So it's telling you right here that the whole earth was inhabited, similar to how it is today. Like every island is inhabited, man is in all the continents. So we in an era of civilization right now. So this same feeling that we have now, where we can occupy the whole planet, took place in the 10th arc cycle after the creation of man. We're in the 25th arc cycle right now, in the era of civilization globally, but this took place pre-Pan in the 10th arc cycle after the creation of man. So again, the verse states, and now the earth was full of people. All the continents and islands on the earth were inhabited by man. Nor was there any wilderness wherein man did not dwell. And it states here, let me skip to verse 21. And man dwelt in peace, and the earth was tilled, and brought forth abundantly everything that was good for man to eat and to clothe himself. And there were in those days great cities and hundreds of thousands of inhabitants, thousands and thousands of such cities. And see, Joseph, this is why I say that this to me is the Atlantis, because this is showing you how they had thousands of cities at this time in the 10th arc cycle. And this is several arc cycles before the sinking of this continent, Pan. So it states that such cities, it says thousands of inhabitants of such cities in all the 5 great divisions of the earth. And man built ships and sailed over the oceans in all directions around about the whole world, just like we do today. By the angels of the Lord was he taught and guided in all things. See that? So the angels had part and parcel to do with this. And man had books, both written and printed, and the young were taught in schools, a knowledge of the sun, moon, and stars, and of all things that are upon the earth and in the waters thereof. This was therefore called the first period of civilization on earth. See that? So the Oahspe describes the first era of civilization where the whole planet was inhabited with thousands of cities. So that would include Africa, North and South America, Europe, Asia, India, China, and Pan. And then they made boats and sailed across the whole world, as the things say. So this time period that they talk about Atlantis, when it was, the pre-Diluvian civilizations, I'm thinking in the Oahspe, this is what they're referring to in the 10th arc cycle, when man reached this point. Almost like the Ring of Fire? The Ring of Fire, that movie, it's like a pre-Diluvian time period, like pre-Pan, like you see the little hobbits, the little people and all that. That's like a pre-Diluvian time period. So it kind of falls in this time where the first era of civilization, where man occupied the whole planet prior to the sinking of Pan. And then, of course, at the sinking of Pan, it was like everything started anew again. You dig? Yes, I. Because it's a vibes. Well-advanced beings, indeed. Yes, it's a vibes. I see y'all still with me. That's what's up. We just vibing out now. Just freestyling, vibing. Q&A. Yes, Joseph. It's a vibe. You done, no king. Smoke me a little ganja still, you know. Yeah. Nice Oahspe vibes, man. Oahspe sweet, yo. Can read this shit all night. But let's go into the cosmos. Let's fly into the cosmos real quick. Yeah. Let's take it up there. We in the Etherian realms now. Let's fly. It's a vibes.